Welcome to the Christian Watson Career Sim. And here we have Christian Watson, the rookie wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers, who has been putting up some incredible stats the last couple weeks. So I gave him a little bit of tweak in Madden because Madden hasn't really updated their game. I gave him star development and +4 overalls because he has been the #1 receiver for the Packers for at least 3 weeks now. So I'm going to sim to the end of this season, and I'll check in with you guys after he's accumulated all of his stats, and we'll see how he did. So in this alternate reality, the Packers were able to make the playoffs and had a 10-7 record. So let's go check out what Christian Watson did this season. Christian Watson had one hell of a rookie season, having 1,500 receiving yards and 23 touchdowns, which is probably the best rookie season by a wide receiver ever. So let's go see if that puts him at the top for Rookie of the Year or even MVP. With that crazy performance Christian Watson had, he won Offensive Player of the Year for the NFC and Rookie of the Year. So he's going to get some massive upgrades this offseason, but let's see if he can win any playoff games. Sadly, the Packers lost their playoff game 34-32 against the Vikings, but they are looking on the bright side with Christian Watson as their #1 receiver. So after that crazy performance, he went up to 84 as his overall, playing up to an 85, and he earned superstar development. So we're going to sim to next season, and let's see what he can do. After one season, Christian Watson is the #1 wide receiver on the Packers offense. So let's sim this season and see what he can do, and see if he can put up even crazier numbers than he did last year. The Packers got a first-round bye in the playoffs and went 13-4. So let's see if all that had to do with Christian Watson's success. Christian Watson saw a slight decline from last year, but still put up an astonishing 1,500 yards and 18 touchdowns. So let's go see if this is enough for him to win Offensive Player of the Year again, or even MVP. That performance wasn't good enough to beat out Cooper Kupp, and he got second place, which obviously means he didn't even get close to winning an MVP. But let's see if they can win a Super Bowl this year. The Packers got their revenge on the Vikings this season, beating them in the divisional rounds, and they're in the NFC Conference Championship. And let's see if Christian Watson can play his very best and make it to a Super Bowl in his second year. Sadly, they were taken down by the Washington Commanders, but there's always hope for next year because Christian Watson is still young and only going to get better. And maybe next season we'll see him hit the 99 club. Going into Christian Watson's third season, he is coming in at an 89 overall, and he's a superstar X Factor. So let's see if him getting these upgrades can propel him to potentially becoming a 99 overall or even winning an MVP as a wide receiver. With another great year from the Packers going 10-7 and having a first-round bye in the playoffs, let's see if that's due to Christian Watson and putting on a show. Christian Watson's stats declined once again, only having 14 touchdowns, but 1,200 yards still is a really good season for only a wide receiver in his third year. So let's see if they can win a Super Bowl this year. The Packers were unable to get revenge in the divisional round against the Commanders from their loss in the conference championship last year, but I think there's still high hopes for the Packers because Christian Watson is still young and only getting better. So let's see if his stats can improve next year and he can become a 99 overall. Going into his fourth and final year of his contract, he really has to ball out to earn a new one from the Packers. He comes in at a 92 with superstar X Factor still. And there's breaking news around the Packers organization that Aaron Rodgers has retired and has been replaced by a first-round pick, Jimmy Carter. So let's see if Jimmy Carter and Christian Watson can build the connection early and lead this Packers team to a Super Bowl. Jimmy Carter and Christian Watson did not find their connection this season because they didn't make it to the playoffs and only had 9 wins. But Christian Watson still balled out, having 1,381 yards and 12 touchdowns. But is that enough to earn a new contract from the Packers? We will see in the offseason. Christian Watson did just enough to earn himself the bag, getting a 4-year, $52 million deal. And he doesn't really seem that interested to come back to Green Bay unless the scheme fit changes and they become a Super Bowl contender. So we'll see in the 4 years if he's still in Green Bay. With that being said, Christian Watson is still in Green Bay for the 4 years he signed to, so we're going to keep up with his career, and it's not off to a good start. The Packers missed the playoffs at 6-11, so let's see what Christian Watson did this season. Christian Watson still had a solid year, having 1,284 yards receiving and 12 touchdowns, but he seems to be very unhappy with Jimmy Coleman's, ability to throw him the ball. So let's see if the Packers organization is going to make some changes that help Christian Watson in the future. Going into his 6th year at Green Bay, he is now a 95 overall. So let's see what he can do this season, because Jimmy Coleman told him in the offseason that he's going to step up his performance big time. The Packers went 9-8 for the second time under Jimmy Coleman at QB, and Christian Watson had another mediocre year compared to his rookie year, only totaling 1,374 receiving yards and 16 touchdowns. And he's been very upset with Jimmy Coleman, and he might request a trade unless the Packers change something about their QB decisions. Going into Christian Watson's 7th year as a Green Bay Packer, he is at a 96 overall and still has superstar X Factor development. So let's see if he can help the Packers take it to the playoffs for the first time in 3 years. It looks like they were not good enough to make it to the playoffs, as they fall to 6-11, which is the worst record we have seen from them since Aaron Rodgers left. Christian Watson had another decent year, going for 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns. But he is still very unhappy with his performance, and coming into his last year as a Green Bay Packer, I don't think he's going to stay, but we will see once his contract comes up. Going into another contract year for the Green Bay Packers, Christian Watson comes in a 97 overall with superstar X Factor. So, we'll see at the end of the season if he's able to produce in Green Bay and thinks he wants to stay, or is he going to try to find a new team that has a quarterback that's going to let him produce. So I'll see you at the end of the season, where we'll catch up with what he's been doing. In a contract year for Christian Watson, he was able to make it to the playoffs for the first time since Aaron Rodgers left. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it has a lot to do with a step up in QB performance. So let's go look at the stats and see what really happened. Jimmy Coleman finally did something other than throwing the ball into the dirt, throwing to Christian Watson 112 times, giving him 1,687 yards and 15 touchdowns. So Christian Watson has a decision to make. Is he going to stay with the Packers, or is he going to leave and go to a new team? But first, we have to see what they do in the playoffs. The Packers were able to win their wildcard game against the 49ers and now have to take on the Lions in the divisional game. So let's see if they win that one too. With a close win over the Lions, they now have to take on the Falcons in the conference championship game. And without Aaron Rodgers, they have a chance not to choke it. Jimmy Coleman has really stepped up in his last season as a Packers QB and was able to take them to the Super Bowl, where they'll be facing the Browns. Jimmy Coleman and Christian Watson couldn't hook up enough in the Super Bowl to win, losing to the Browns 13-10. But now Christian Watson has a big decision to make. Does he want to move to a new team or stay with the Packers to chase the Super Bowl next year? So let's find out what happens in the offseason. After a long, hard decision, Christian Watson decided to take his talent to the Indianapolis Colts on a 3-year, $43 million deal, where he is very interested in playing. So let's see if he's able to keep up the performance with the Indianapolis Colts and make it to the playoffs. Christian Watson decided to team up with Deshaun Watson to see if they can win a Super Bowl with this pretty stacked Colts offense, having a great offensive line and still having Jonathan Taylor. In Christian Watson's first year as a Colt, it didn't look like the Watson to Watson connection was going as he planned, because one Watson was more inclined to get massages than to throw the ball to him. So let's see what stats he put up this year. Christian Watson had a pretty good year though, putting up 1,534 yards and 19 touchdowns, getting pretty close to his rookie season debut. And without making the playoffs this year, he still has 2 years left as a Colt, so let's see what he can do in them. Going into Christian Watson's second season as an Indianapolis Colt, he is still a 97 overall and hasn't regressed down from Superstar X Factor. But the Colts, even in 2031, are still making the same decisions as recycling old quarterbacks that are near the end of their career, and somehow they landed Josh Allen, who is now an 85 overall quarterback who is also 35. So let's see if they can put together something and make a Super Bowl. Josh Allen and Christian Watson were not able to get it done as they fell to 8-9 and missed the playoffs. But let's see how Christian Watson did this season, because you never know, it could be his last season. Christian Watson had another stellar year, going for 1,640 receiving yards and 22 touchdowns, which I think is better than his rookie season. But it's coming to an end because he is getting older and regressing, and it looks like he's not going to win a Super Bowl because the teams he are on don't have stable quarterbacks. But we will see what happens because he still has 1 year left with the Colts, and we'll see if he resigns another contract. At the start of his final season as a Colt, unless he signs a new contract with them, he finally hit the 99 mark, and let's see if he stays in 99 for the rest of his career. Taking a look at his awards, he's gone to the Pro Bowl 10 times and had the 2022 Offensive Rookie of the Year and Player of the Year, and he was the best wide receiver that year. So let's see if he can win any more awards before he retires. On a contract year for Christian Watson, he was able to go 12-5 and make it to the playoffs. So let's see how well he did this season and if he was the main reason the Colts made it. Something I didn't catch before is that the Colts recycled another old quarterback and got a 33-year-old Justin Fields. But Justin Fields was able to help Christian Watson get 1,639 yards and 18 touchdowns in his last season as a Colt, unless he signs another contract. But let's see what they can do in the playoffs. The Colts were able to get a big win over the Bengals in the wild card round, and they now take on the Ravens in the divisional round. Let's see if they can win. Justin Fields and Christian Watson blew out the Ravens defense and are now on to the conference championship to take on the New England Patriots. Let's see if they can make it to the Super Bowl in what might be Christian Watson's last year in the football league. With another astounding win against the Patriots in the conference championship, they are on to the Super Bowl to take on the Seattle Seahawks. So let's see if Christian Watson can win a Super Bowl this year and maybe take it out on the high road. An old Justin Fields and an old Christian Watson were able to take this Colts team in 2032 to a Super Bowl and win it against the Seattle Seahawks 38-31. So let's see if winning the Super Bowl was enough to make Christian Watson want to retire. Christian Watson decided to call it quits after the Super Bowl and retire after 11 years in the league. Let's see if he was able to make it to any of the all-time charts for receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. Christian Watson was able to get 7th all-time for receiving yards, so let's see how many receiving touchdowns he was able to get. Christian Watson finished 2nd all-time with 181 receiving touchdowns. And I think he had a pretty good career, so let me know down in the comments below if you would consider this a Hall of Fame career, and also make sure to like and subscribe for more football content. Thank you guys so much if you made it this far. This is my first video this style, and I hope to make more of these, but I need your help with comments down below telling me what I could do better and what I can improve on. Obviously, I know there are a lot of things, and I know in post-production of this recording, I'm going to have to edit things, and it's not going to be as clean and as clear because I'm not as good at editing as I wish I was. But let me know down in the comments below what I can work on and how I can improve, and I'll make sure to put out better content for you guys in the future. But thank you for watching, and make sure you like and subscribe, and have a great day.